They run it. Oh,
Snap. The kick is no good.
Throws. Johnson's there. It is touchdown. Touchdown. Calvin Johnson.
Trying to stretch to the edge. What a hurdle by Jackson. Highlight reel touchdown.
He might score. Taylor, touchdown. 48 yards.
Don't sleep on those legs. Oh, he faked the slide. Sauce time. Pickett.
And Leary's going to take a shot. Has a receiver. It is caught.
Oh, fall. The season where the leaves change. Halloween and Thanksgiving are spent with friends and family, and football is played. Let's see how the teams did in week 1. Wake got off to a good start against the Phoenix this past Thursday, where Mitch Griffiths threw 3 touchdowns in the season opener. He did have an interception, but mainly the offense was operating at an efficient level to put up points, and the defense got stops on the Phoenix offense. I still have concerns for how they're going to stack up against Power 5 opponents, so we'll just have to see how they do next week against Vanderbilt. But nevertheless, a good start is a good start. The Deeks are 1-0, and the offense will have to continue to put up points, as the Demon Deacons got a 37-17 win over the Elon Phoenix. In a tough physical game, both NC State and UConn tried to run the ball numerous times to try and wind down the clock and establish dominance, making the defenses tired throughout the course of the game. It was NC State, though, that prevailed with their rushing attack, as Brennan Armstrong racked up 2 rushing touchdowns in his debut. Passing-wise, the Wolfpack weren't great, but they didn't suffer from it. Defensively, there were a few blips for NC State as they gave up a long rushing touchdown to the Huskies. But other than that, they locked it down and only held UConn to 14 points, and racking up an interception. Overall, it was a good game for a week 1 road trip for NC State. And sorry, UConn, you still are not invited to join the ACC. In fact, we're adding West Coast teams before we add you.
You and the guys excited to try and prove once and for all who's the real Miami?
Oh, yeah. That's going to be awesome. That'll be fun.
I think this plays off the same question, but the real Miami is where? In Coral Gables or here in Oxford?
Oxford, Ohio.
Because you're around longer, you're just...
No, I just think we'll show them September 1st.
Sorry, Brett, but the real Miami is in Florida. That was proven September 1st when the Hurricanes absolutely dominated this game. Anything that Miami wanted to do offensively, they pretty much could, and defensively, they had a field day, only allowing a field goal to the Red Hawks. A really good game for Miami overall. They win an easy matchup that they should. Not a situation where they're losing to a group of 5 team like Middle Tennessee. And Tyler Van Dyke looks like he's in form with his accurate ball placement, as you see there. What impressed me the most this game was Miami's running game, though. They had 3 running backs score in this game, and they weren't gimme runs where the hole was wide open. They were tough physical runs where they had to get past defenders that were in the way that could have easily tackled them. So I think Miami's offense is in top form. Georgia Tech and Louisville squared off in a battle of new head coaches in the conference. It started off pretty well for the Engineers as they got out to a 28-13 lead at halftime, with Haynes King passing for 300 yards throughout the game. However, it was not enough as Georgia Tech wasn't able to keep it going in the second half and allowed Louisville to come back and win. It was one of the largest comebacks in ACC conference play history, and really it's another chapter in the Atlanta sports choking. It's just a real shame. Haynes King was the only quarterback this week to pass for over 300 yards and lose. The others being Mitch Griffiths and Jordan Travis. But what a great comeback by Louisville. Jeff Brock gets his first career win at Louisville, his alma mater. Georgia Tech is sent back to the basement as they are tied for last place. And Louisville has momentum going forward as they are tied for the lead. In the most heinous example of playing down to competition this week, the Boston College Eagles decided to come out and not play football for the first half or even the third quarter against the Northern Illinois Huskies that were led by the bane of the ACC, Rocky Lombardi. And I warned them that this would be a dangerous game for them, that they could not play around with Northern Illinois. And yet they did. But what does it matter? The high-level talent that they have is probably going to bail them out. As you can see, they're slowly clawing their way back from 2 touchdowns down. And Thomas Castellanos on this play just absolutely pulls out the NCAA 14 playbook, scrambling around, looking for receivers downfield, avoiding the pass rush, pulling off some random magic, and making a 4th down conversion. This game is unnecessarily close, but BC should be able to come back with the players that they have and win it, even if they have to go to overtime. It's pretty frightening, but I think they'll... are you kicking a field goal? Well, can you at least make a stop? Maybe a turnover? And you're letting them get an easy first down. This is not going to end well, is it? Come on, Eagles. I'm begging you. For the ACC, just make a stop.
Touchdown wins it for Northern Illinois. Lombardi at the end zone.
Absolutely shameful, BC. Do better. In a game that meant more than football, Tennessee rolled. But as Coach Elliott said, just seeing Virginia on the field again was a victory. Yeah, you can't be too hard on Virginia for this one. Tennessee is one of the best teams in the nation. As you can see, they're ranked 12th, and it seems pretty deserved. Was it a bit of a slow start for the Volunteers? Sure, but I think that says more about Virginia's fight that they have in them as a football team rather than Tennessee struggling. Again, I'll echo what Coach Elliott said. It's more of a victory to see Virginia again, and I'm glad that they're taking that first step to being a football team again by competing. An absolutely dominant win. Garrett Schrader and Aranze Gadsden showed exactly why they were so successful last year offensively. And they just rolled over Colgate with tons of passing touchdowns in the Carrier Dome. This game was never in question. It was always going to be a Syracuse victory. It was just by how much. And they... looks like quality. You know, the Orange looked really, really good. A lot of deep balls. lot of defensive plays too. Interceptions. There was a pick 6 in this game. Overall, a really, really good start. The loss of Coach Ine as your offensive coordinator doesn't seem to be affecting the team at all. They put up a lot of points. I think they put up 65 in this game. And, curious to see how they stack up against Power 5 competition. But overall, a really good start. In another game that was never in question from the start, Pitt rolled against the Terriers from Wofford. Phil Dracovic looked pretty good, similar to Garrett Schrader, but not necessarily as impressive. It was 45-7. But, the defense still looks really good for Pitt. They got a lot of sacks. They racked up some rushing touchdowns, as it seems they've found a replacement for Abanikanda in a sort of running back by committee. They had one from Daniel Carter, and they had 2 from Rodney Hammond Jr. So it seems like they're going to have some power backs for the red zone. Dracovic also got 1 rushing, which was interesting to see, with his knee injury. But again, a good start. For the loss that happened last year, this was an important game for the Hokies to win, mainly because they need to start winning these, what you would assume to be absolute wins for your program. And the improvements that needed to be made from last year were seen. Grant Wells threw 3 touchdown passes, and 2 of them were to Allie Jennings, who is the Old Dominion transfer wide receiver. And the defense still looked as capable as it did last year, holding Old Dominion to only 17 points. And a really good showing from the Hokies. Now all that really is in question for them going forward is how do they stack up to the rest of the ACC and Power 5 opponents. But really, if I'm a Hokie fan, I'm pretty optimistic. In a key ACC versus SEC matchup, UNC and South Carolina went at it in Charlotte. And this was a shocking game for me because with how South Carolina ended last season with just racking up points and getting stops, I thought they were just going to steamroll some of their opponents. And I thought that was what was going to happen to UNC, but boy, oh boy, did the South Carolina line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball not show up. Their offensive line was a turnstile, and their defensive line was just like paper. Drake May had a field day. Even the UNC running backs looked pretty impressive, and the ACC got a key win. In an epic top 10 showdown, LSU and FSU traded blows as the Titans met in Orlando. And initially, it looked like it was going to be a back and forth game the whole way, with Florida State being down 3 at halftime. But when they came out in the second half, boy did the Noles turn it on, as Jordan Travis and the Seminole offense went absolutely wild and ended up beating the Tigers 45-24. LSU offensively looked lost in the second half. They couldn't get anything going as the FSU defense looked dominant, and the offense for the Noles could do just about anything they wanted to. This game puts Jordan Travis in the driver's seat for the Heisman, and I think FSU is the front runner for the conference. These days, it seems like death, taxes, and the Clemson offense is terrible. See, you hired Garrett Riley to improve this offense, but it looked exactly the same as it did last year, and that was pretty lackluster. Clemson was able to move the ball, but Duke bent but did not break defensively. And remember, the only reason that Clemson scored in this game was because of a muffed Duke punt that put them in really good field position. And this game could have very easily been a shutout. Duke, almost the whole way, looked like the better team. This game put Riley Leonard on the map. I mean, his rushing touchdown in the third quarter was pretty impressive. I don't think he'll be Heisman level, but he looks very efficient in how he was able to move the Duke offense down the field and score. A couple of blocked kicks for the Duke special teams, 2 fumble recoveries in the red zone. This is part of Duke being really, really good, and Clemson offensively just being really bad. I mean, I think this might be the end of the Clemson reign over the conference for a while. If you believe Paul Feinbaum, he says that Dabo Swinney's dynasty is dead, but what a win for Duke nevertheless. A top 10 win, and one that should send the program forward. But wow, what a week 1 it was for the ACC. 2 wins over SEC opponents, a top 10 win. I'm excited.